when we are doing the will of our true self, we are inevitably doing the will of the universe. In magic, these are seen as indistinguishable. That every human soul is in fact one human.
Some can come undone, the face is one, yes we want it. Be wary of the creeping tongue that says that they own it. Shade is made when the gods fade, a secret moment. Contradiction is the face of man, don't spin it. Don't.
The following is a one-page introduction I submitted for Eric J. Millar's recently released hardback Omnibus, an outlet press collection of the last decade's worth of his illustrative narratives. And it goes as follows. You're a pawn. You're a fiddly digit, tethered to a nervous system, subjugated, perhaps oppressed. Your toon is not your whistle. Yet, in this shallow reading of archetypal playthings, your balance beams shiver hard and kick even worse. You are not a pawn. You are an etching on a paddle, scarred with marks. You are an indent. Your eyes start to squint. You're a rat named Harvey on a perpetual machine, black-eyed and somber. You soothsee the coming end of the cosmos in your cornflakes, and as you ponder, the dirt beneath your visage drips and drifts like spoils and spills of ink. You are a loony toon, bardo bouncing in between canyon falls, enveloped in somatic onomatopoeia. Each death a momentary comfort in a chapel of cacophony. A cat and a cock await your eternal return, rolling dice in an impossible game between each soul you burn. But your ghost is too busy performing sleight of hand in a vacuum for a fourth-dimensional audience. You'll master this stage show. You have all the time in the world now. You've been here before. You'll be here again. Yet next time you'll bleed in an alien language unfathomable to this timeline. And each time you'll stay a little longer in the serial, voyant, bardo-bouncing, never-ending hamster wheel of metamorphosis. You are the creations of Eric J. Millar, and you are right to stay a little longer. Please pick up Eric's Omnibus. It transcends modern occultism in the most brilliant, anarchic, and purely individualistic creative gusto. Speaking of transcending the need for traditional form and functions, as we talk here today, subscribe to Eric's brilliant, mundane magic grimoire of personal deities entitled No Gods But My Own, available on Substack. And if you haven't yet, check out our new We the Hallowed audio sigil that he is very abundant in. And all links will be available in the show notes and our Mediamancy Collective's website, We the Hallowed. Without further ado, slither hither, weirdos and witches. Here's my conversation with Eric J. Millar. I saw that you talked to, and I've talked about this when, releasing the audio sigil, that postpartum depression.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of parenting, big wondrous works of art, and like really cherishing that process, and then releasing it, and then having it just be over.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you've done that with the outlet press Omnibus, but the thing is, it's got to be a bigger kind of exorcism for you because it's over 10 years of illustrative work.
Oh yeah. And I will definitely say I've been dealing with some depression based on it.
Yeah.
Because it's basically like the capstone on the entire Outlet Press era. Like it's just the last Outlet Press release.
Yeah. I'm one
Essentially.
of the lucky people to have a lot of them, if not most of them, in single, publications. And
Yeah.
it was so cool to see how how you're designing gumption really like came out in full swing with this thing. And I got to imagine it probably was nerve-wracking just going over the past 10 years, what to include, how to lay it out. Yeah, can you talk about that process?
Oh yeah, it was pretty difficult to kind of like whittle down which of the 21 books were going to get fully included and which ones were going to get excerpted and stuff like that. But it was like translating the original design to a format where I would have sometimes 6 to 10 pages of the original book on a single page
Right.
of the omnibus. It was kind of a nightmare on some parts. I had to kick a couple books out just because of that, because I couldn't figure out how to get a design that worked without taking up 80 pages of book.
So was that like a kill your darlings kind of episode, or? Yeah.
Definitely. But
And I just want to show it before we talk more about it. This is the wonderful hardback 10 years of illustrative brilliance and other musings from Eric, and hardback from Lulu, right?
yeah.
And it's just, the design is just beautiful. When I got this in the mail and opened it up, I was just ecstatic. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it looks so good on a coffee table.
Oh yeah, it's almost like a coffee table art book. Like it's
It's the
got
best.
glossy paper and everything.
Yep. I know you've talked about it to me, and I think publicly somewhat, but kind of ending Outlet Press. Is this your swan song for it, or?
Yeah, this is definitely going to be it for it. I was thinking about doing like a yearly outlet almanac is what I was calling it. But I'm not sure if I'm going to still do that. I might just still release books when they come, but just put my
Yeah.
name on it.
That we're talking about compounding all this postpartum depression of finishing this huge thing, right? What's the measurement of grief that you're going through for letting go of Outlet Press, which is something you've worked under for so long?
It actually kind of feels good
Yeah.
to kind of like get out from under like kind of an illusion of professionalism. Like
Yeah, because Outlet Press, it makes it seem like a big publishing kind of
yeah,
enterprise, which it was. It's just, there was one person behind
it
it.
was just me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I did maybe 2 books by other people over the entire 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, beyond me, like that was it. I did 21 or 22 books and then 2 extras in there somewhere. But I tried to make it look professional.
They all were. They're all great books. I'm a big fan, of course. I kind of felt it too because, I've been working on something that's trying to kill a sort of persona or,
Mhm.
a character or an identity that I've been working under for so long. And I feel it like every time the work tightens that it's the kind of this grieving process in doing it,
Oh
at
yeah.
the same time. Because it was so easy to hide behind, in a way, right? Like a character or an ideology that's kind of, it doesn't have to be me all the time.
Yeah.
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 But I think, with your new work with No Gods But My Own, I think it's just a monumental process to see. And please subscribe to the Substack. You're kind of moving forward with how do I put this? A more to the people output at a more constant rate, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to do a more regular like direct contact, and
Mm-hmm.
it's more of a more blunt, I guess. Like No
Yeah.
Gods But My Own is very much far more like in your face about like occultism and stuff like that, and like my personal philosophies on magic and art and stuff like that. So it's way more blunt.
And I love it. Yeah. And, we talk all the time about our toils and tussles within,
Yeah.
modern occultism. And I've really sung its praise to anyone that'll listen, because I think No
Mhm.
Gods But My Own is just, it hits the nail on the head. I also
Yeah.
wanted to read an excerpt from your last output, old costumes and shifting shapes. And it just begins, and I thought this was beautifully said. It says, I've always considered myself a skeptic for as long as I've orbited magic and occultism. There have been large aspects of the culture that I can't bring myself to align with or believe in. I'm not going to list all of those points of dissension here, but I do want to talk about the biggest one. I don't like gods, goddesses, demons, or spirits. And I mean, like, talk about blunt. That's blunt
Yeah.
force trauma right there.
Oh
I love
yeah.
it. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, it's I've always found it hard to really take the plunge and like give myself over to an entity, I guess you could say. Like none of it really rings true to me.
Yeah.
It all just kind of feels like it's a personal experience. It's like everybody sees what they're going to see.
Right.
And I don't know how so many different things could be right at the same time and wrong at the same time. Like everything is existing in this like undulating blob of belief that
Right.
we pick shapes out of. So it's hard for me to decide, yeah, this is true, this is false, this is true, this is false. And it's just all true. All of
Yeah.
it.
Well, I love it. And you talk about it too later in the piece about militant agnosticism.
Yeah.
And it's funny too because I found myself in recent months really falling for the adage "you are what you eat" when it comes to the content that you're imbibing.
Oh,
And
definitely.
yeah, falling into a lot of the debunker communities and trying to be a kind of token of, hey, all woo isn't bullshit. There's some practical applications in certain ways, right? Trying to be that militant agnostic, but then
Yeah.
finding out that people just love absolutism.
Yeah,
It's what
yeah.
sells tickets,
It definitely is. It definitely is. And especially in magic, there's like occultism and magic has so much fundamentalism and there's denial of fundamentalism.
Mm-hmm.
Like lots of people, they're deep believers in their own like sects and like their own way of doing things, and they don't understand that they are being fundamentalist. Like
Yeah,
and they subscribe to the ethos and they go, other ethoses are wrong, and I will pick apart your ethos until you believe what mine is.
absolutely.
What makes that any different than like, a Catholic?
Right. Well, and it's funny too, yeah, because we both gripe about it a lot too, because it's just a club I'm not interested in over and over
Yeah.
again. And
Yeah.
you have to be kind of part of these sects, as you say, to kind of gain this wisdom that should be free for everyone,
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
and these hierarchical need to, I don't know, to generate some sort of power over others. And it's just,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's all nasty,
Oh
in a way.
yeah. Yeah. It's why it's been hard for me to be on Twitter, because
Yeah.
I look at people like they float an idea and then there's like 20 people that are more than ready to tear it down if they disagree with it.
Yeah, and occult Twitter is not something I subscribe to. Of course, there's a couple of people that
Yeah. Oh
rabble
yeah.
rouse within it that I really love, but yeah, this whole I don't know this whole weird genealogy of thelemic beliefs within TikTok, or like
Yeah.
just these crazy. It's like these micro situations or hierarchies. I mean to say,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
And like a big part of No Gods But My Own has been me trying to reclaim an individual practice,
yeah,
like how I got started in the first place.
yeah.
And that's been the most beneficial part of it. And it's kind of even built a higher level of like the whole idea of believing that everything is true, like going that every god is true. That
Mm-hmm.
came because I'm like facing up to the fact that like over all this time I was a militant atheist when I was a teenager, believed in a bunch of stuff later, and then it's just like I can't tell other people what's wrong. I can't tell other
Yeah,
people what's right. Like I know what's right inside of here and here,
yeah, yeah. For
That's
you,
all.
right?
That's all I
Yeah.
got.
What's it? We've talked a lot too about mundane magic, and it's
Hmm.
this. You've done a lot of oracle works, kind of imbibing, wondrous folkloric kind of metaphysics, self-metaphysics about, the mundane. And I've
Yeah.
always loved that because that's your animism of magic itself,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how's
I
that? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I actually have one of the upcoming articles for No Gods is a mundane magic primer, where it's like a 5,000 word essay on like my views of like my
Your tenets.
makeshift my makeshift animism.
Yeah. But I was thinking about that earlier when I was going over mundane magic in my head. It is this agnostic animism of everything. It's like you
Yeah.
can't pick the hierarchical necessity of communing with the other for just some things, and
Yeah.
somebody like me that uses tools like a tape recorder religiously, right?
Yeah.
Like, to me, that is it's sure it's talismanic, but it's also, it's got a spirit within it of itself that I'm communing with all the time, and
Yeah.
it's, aiding me. And I don't want to use the word manifest.
Yeah.
I think we should just X that word out of
I mean,
everything, but you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way with my sketchbook and my pens. It's like I'm using that as a tool. I usually don't have an idea when I sit down to draw or write. I just do it and let the tool tell me where it wants to go.
So how much of it is in, for kind of a layman term, but how much of it is kind of this channeling kind of aspect?
I mean, I honestly can't say because
Yeah.
I'm like the more I try to pin down where my inspirations and where my ideas and all of that stuff comes from, the less I can get a handle on it. It's like it's a grease
Yeah.
pig. Honestly, it's just a grease pig. The moment I think I got a handle on it, it gets away.
Yeah, the more you know, the less you do, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's kind of this, it's a really transcendent thought, I think. And I mean transcendent in the way that I think after people kind of invest themselves within these hierarchical structures within occultism, break away, and then, really commune with themselves by creating or customizing their own doctrines and tenets. To me, that seems kind of the end all be all, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it seems like, if you were to put it, ironically enough, in a hierarchical kind of transcendence, it seems
Mhm.
like letting go of that and then creating their own seems to be, what the goal should be.
Yeah, definitely. It's it's like Bruce Lee.
Yep.
Be like water, make your own stuff, Just Jeet Kune Do it.
Yeah, I love the Jeet Kune Do stuff. There was another, you said something in here too. I'm gonna have to find it. Yeah, when I say that I believe everyone is right, I'm being very, very literal. All gods, goddesses, spirits, and demons exist to those that want them to. I believe that all of these beings have the same origin point in liminal space, and that our desires and biases have a very real influence on the population there. Just like an artist drawing up images from the ether, the true believer summons their divine benefactors.
Yeah.
Shazam. And I start too. We're both comic nerds, obviously,
Mhm.
and of course, I have Alan Moore talking about magic and the,
Oh, yeah.
sequence. But he always touched on this, is
Oh,
that
yeah.
the imagination spectrum or
Mhm.
plane where everything exists. That's kind of
Yeah.
what you're pulling from.
Yeah.
Was that that was a big influence,
Oh,
right?
definitely a big influence. Definitely a big influence. Like, it was either last year or the year before. It was the first time I read Promethea.
Oh yeah.
Like, it was a series I had always just kind of forgotten about and ignored. And then the last couple years, I've read it and reread it about 3 times. And it's like, okay, I get this.
You know what's Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because I feel like I myself within my own practice am going back to basics in a way,
Mhm.
where knowing, like experiencing all of the different like tundras of magical resonance throughout
Yeah.
the years, like, and now I can, pick up even Crowley or something and read it with a different light than I had
Yeah.
before. And it's like I'm relearning, but at the same time, I'm not looking for something. Is that if that
Yeah.
makes sense? Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I'm definitely feeling the same way. Like the last time I reread The Invisibles
Yes, I was gonna bring that up. Yeah.
was a crazy experience when you think about the ending and how basically like King Mob becomes the enemy. Like he comes
Yeah.
so around the bend that he's the enemy in the end. In a way. Like he's become the businessman who runs an empire, who
Mm-hmm.
has this thing that is supposedly going to bring everybody around. And Jack Frost has hit an enlightenment point that he wants for absolutely nothing. He lives on the street with his childhood best friend.
Yeah, he won.
Yeah. Like he went full circle. He saw everything, did everything, and went, fuck it, I'm going home.
Yeah. Yeah,
and went home.
that's funny. Yeah, it's I don't know. I keep finding this rotating, servo about a lot of the folklore that I like. And it's always the fuck ups that kind of come out in the end and are a bit more, meditative than the righteous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a trickster mythos. It's all that, even just Anasazi and Zuni kind of creation myths
Yeah.
about, the coyote accidentally creating the world.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
trying to be selfish about it, but then accidentally creating, love and
Yeah.
kindness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But that's funny. Yeah. And, you're No Gods But My Own. It's on Substack, which I should really look into doing because I love just that it's just word based.
Oh yeah, and
Right.
it's free. So
Yeah. But it's subscription based. And I love that you get to, do you have like a community kind of thing within it?
not really. I've had a few people comment and a few people like send me emails and stuff because you can reply to the email.
You're right.
Like
Oh, okay.
all you have to do is hit reply, and if you reply to the email, I get that email that you
Yeah.
write. Like it
How's
comes right
the
to me.
how's that community been building around it?
I mean, I got about 40 subscribers right
Yeah.
now, and I've had 2 or 3 people like write to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd like to get more communication, but it's
Yeah.
that's kind of the bugaboo of all creativity. It's like
Yeah.
if you're trying to have a conversation, usually it ends up being one-ended, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Or yeah, I'm still fighting the nonchalance of keeping up with like the
Yeah,
communication stuff. We used to talk
yeah,
so much, and I feel like we talk just maybe a couple times a week now. It's because I've just had to kind of drop out a bit
yeah,
and leave the phone home.
yeah. And I hear you. Like I'm like upcoming once I hit issue 12 of No Gods But My Own, I'm not shutting it down. I'm just setting it aside.
Yeah. So
And
you'll have another article series or just whatever.
no, I'm gonna just basically go quiet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like I'm basically gonna drop out of Twitter, drop off of
Yeah.
Instagram, and drop that for the foreseeable future. It's kind of I feel like I'm in an echo chamber right now, and
Right.
it might be time for a break.
And I know we've talked about this in the past too, about maybe doing a Discord and kind of just
Yeah.
having that background. I'm coming around to it more and more because when there's not consistent content output or whatever, it's
Mhm.
nice to keep those conversations going.
Yeah.
I just fear that I won't be as I'm just so fickle. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
so fickle when it comes to that stuff.
Well, I get overwhelmed really easily these days. I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on with that, but like my old anxieties have been ramped up to 10 now, where it's
Yeah.
like releasing the omnibus. Usually I get a little stressed out when I release something and like I follow the numbers, and if the sales don't do well, like it hits me. But like this one really hit me.
Yeah.
It's like sales were a bit lower than I wanted, than I expected, and it just like it was like this like about a week ago, it just like felt like this like heart-wrenching like People
you know
don't
what
like
sucks?
people don't like me.
No, and it's totally not that, and I felt that
Yeah.
way about the audio sigil too. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I have to remember that I'm so burnt out from the process that I'm not really
Yeah.
doing much to
Yeah.
promote it or post it places. Also, I don't want to be a salesman. That's like not
Yeah.
why I signed up to do this. But I understand that it's part of it, and I hope that
Yeah.
people, buy this omnibus because it's fucking gorgeous and
Yeah.
it's just a great. I'll say ellipses, to be continued on the outlet press stuff because I'm telling you, like, and your design stuff, your stuff, your design, your design work is just top notch. It really is.
Yeah. Well, I know there was one book that actually, when I finished putting it in here, it made me wish I had released it at this size originally
Yeah.
because I got to play around with it and do like crazy like it stands out more.
Oh yeah.
And I started doing crazy designs with the art, like just embodying anxiety.
I love, because you have the different, even just the cadence of the size that is a visual cue as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to do that with this, whereas originally, yeah, I couldn't do a layout like this. Instead, it was just single pages where it's
Right.
just like it's one after another, and it's way more impactful having like the 10 pages spread on two in an array.
That's so cool. And to bring it back, I'm feeling that way about specifically music, where
Mhm.
I'm thinking, because I just did this live set with some old songs that I kind of reimagined, and it was like
Yeah.
no one knows those old songs. Like no one cares. What I would love to do is reimagine them and put it out. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
It's mine. Like I can
Yeah.
keep tugging at it. Why does it have to be over?
Yeah. And it honestly doesn't. Like I have novellas that I've done that with,
Right.
where I've re-released one of them 3 times, and I'm planning on collecting up the No Gods But My Own into a paperback when it's all done.
Yeah.
And I'm going to include the 2 novellas that I've been toying with for the last 10 years
Is one of them
in with
King
it.
Toast? Is one of them King Toast?
No.
Okay, that
No,
was
that
just
one.
a one-off. Yeah.
Yeah, that one gets to die an obscure death.
I like it though. It's great. It
It's
brings
the
me.
nastiest. It's the nastiest thing I've ever written.
That's, it encapsulated that time so well
Oh,
though.
it was a great exorcism.
Yeah.
It-
Yeah. I was reading it a couple weeks ago. I was just cracking up, like laughing. I was
Yeah.
like, "Damn, Eric."
My wife and mother both had to set it down after reading about 30 pages.
I love that though, and that freedom to, as you said, to exorcise
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. I mean
But
that was just pure vitriol.
Yeah. You've always been a paragon though of like self-publishing too, and
Yeah.
I love that. You got to just, I keep going back and forth about stuff, but I always look to you as somebody like, if I'm gonna publish something, or if We the Hollowed's gonna do something, like Eric's the guy.
Yeah.
Because I think, with all your stuff with Amazon that you were doing forever and all the frustrations of their, publishing application,
Mhm.
whatever that you had to use. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then you just breaking into Lulu and taking that shit down and
Oh
going
yeah.
straight. Yeah.
Well, and before I tried Lulu a long time ago, and I did not like their quality. So that's why I
changed?
stuck with Amazon for like 10 years. And now it's just like when I got this, it blew my mind. I was like, this does not look like the Lulu stuff I ordered 10 years ago.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of Lulu books. I mean, I'm always a fan of hardcovers. How can you not be?
Yeah.
Does Amazon like? I mean, I've gotten stuff from other creators through Amazon publishing. People like Matorowitz even.
Yeah.
who will use it, and it really does. It's just it doesn't give it the weight that
Yeah.
you'd hope. But that's Amazon for you, right?
Yeah, and that's really the kind of the issue with Amazon is like you have to you disappear into it, and also at the same time you have to be okay with dealing with Amazon
Yeah,
and knowing what kind of company Amazon is.
yeah. I'm definitely not in the best place to have feelings about Amazon right now.
Yeah,
Being
exactly.
in Seattle, but
Yeah.
you could order something on Amazon, it arrives same day. It's very creepy here.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, super creepy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what's funny too is I was started this thing. Michelle Embry, who's in the chat, she's got this writing workshop that
Mhm.
she was gracious enough to let me join, and it's very liminal
Yeah.
based. And we were, she had some great notes about different things, and a lot of it, I share, and it's really just about the process, this liminal space that you're, in when you're creating and
Yeah.
communing, right, with yourself about that. What's your process like when you do this? Are you just sitting down and just going through it, or do you have a certain ritual that you're
Well, it's
accustomed
kind of
to?
it's different for everything. It's
Right.
different for everything, and like different things hit me in different ways. Like these essays I've been writing lately, I've honestly been just piecing them together in the notepad on my phone. Like over like a week, I'm just like putting a couple sentences here, paragraph here, whenever
I
I
do
get the
that.
time.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of like smoosh it together and try and edit it into something that works.
Are you handwriting other times? Like, is that a big process? Because
Yeah.
your font, like, you have a script, of your handwriting. It's very you and
Uh
very,
no,
yeah.
no, I found that stuff. I found that
Oh,
stuff.
okay. I thought, but I saw you were doing with your new project, the fauna one. And yeah,
Yes, yes. That one is
so
just handwritten in a notebook. That's
and
handwritten in a notebook.
are you going to like showcase it that way,
I'm not
or
going
are
to
you gonna?
showcase it at all.
Oh, cool. Yeah, keep it
Yeah,
for yourself. Yeah,
it's when I'm done, I'm going to collect it up. But as it's going, as it's a process, it's going to be all mine this time.
I love that.
Yeah.
Take something for yourself, kid.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I mean, I don't mind talking about what it's going to be. I just don't
Yeah,
want to
let's
share
talk
like
about it.
what the pieces are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Surmise it for us.
All right. It's called Fauna Namicon, and it's going to be a collection of 100 randomly selected animals as animal allies, where you pick out of the book, and it's like taking an animal and finding what its beneficial properties are and maybe applying it to yourself and your problems. And the first two animals, one was one of those goats that climbs on super steep mountains, like the sheer inclines, like 90-degree angle ones.
Yeah.
And then today's was flying squirrel.
Nice.
And it's like you could easily find things that like both of those animals do that you could kind of use to help yourself. It's
Yeah.
almost like a self-help book in a weird way.
I get it. I wonder too, has your son been receptive to a lot of your art and your books and stuff?
So he has one of my books, and it's one of his favorite books. And it's the weirdest choice of books that he likes. It's The Mirror Ain't Broken, So It Must Be Your Face.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah.
And it's just this weird mutating face. And he absolutely loves it. And he flips through it and he looks at the faces.
Uh-oh. Psychiatrist. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I
That's
love that
really
one.
that's the only one he's really been exposed to. But I like when I do a drawing, I usually show my wife, and then sometimes he's in the room and he's like, Can I see? Can I see? And I show it to him, he's like, Daddy, you're great at drawing.
Oh,
It's
that's
like,
awesome.
oh, that's
I mean,
the only fan I need.
my father too is a visual artist, and so
Yeah.
I know that have mic troubles, but I know what it's like to kind of be raised with somebody that's deft with, a kind of whimsical kind of drawing and,
Hmm.
doing portraits and stuff. So I just, yeah, I really resonated with that, with I wonder if your son's just picking your books out and looking at them or having fun with them.
I think when he's
Yeah.
a little older, he will.
Yeah.
I hope. I hope. There's definitely a couple I don't want him to read until he's older.
Right.
Mostly
Yeah,
King
for sure.
Toast. He can be a teenager when he sees that one.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I'll have to explain to him who Donald Trump was. And
Yep.
because he's just gonna be like, who?
Yeah, it's true. It's just a blip,
Yeah.
Wasn't Bush Senior just 4 years too? It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
he fell by the wayside.
It's the weirdest thing to think about. Like, it's not like anybody talks about Millard Fillmore anymore. You know?
That's a deep cut.
Yeah. Nobody talks
Or
about
Jimmy
that.
Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I talk about Jimmy Carter sometimes, but like,
Yeah. All I know of him is he was a peanut farmer. And that's about
Yeah.
where it ends.
Habitat for Humanity. That's
That's
all
right.
I know about him.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's funny when we talk about lineage or like legacy.
Yeah.
And it ties in kind of well with that about kind of what you're leaving artistically with the omnibus, and it's just this tome of like legacy.
Yeah.
And are you kind of calling this omnibus, you're going to keep it in print and that'll just be it for Outlet Press, right?
Yep.
I think that's great.
This is the gravestone for Outlet
Yeah.
Press.
Yeah, it's almost as big as one.
It is. It is a heavy book.
Oh, it's so worth it though. I encourage everyone to get a copy. It's really, really gorgeous. But yeah, that must be when I was first thinking about it and asking you earlier, I was like, oh, there must be some sort of grieving process here. I'm so dramatic, And of course you're like, no, it feels good. It's
get
it out of here.
It's taking off an ill-fitting suit.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It's taking off shoes you didn't know were uncomfortable until they were off your feet.
Yeah. So what's your plan for this supposed break after No Gods But My Own ends? Is it indefinite? Or
it's whatever nothing's ever indefinite.
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, indefinite by open-ended, it's
it's very, very open-ended. Very open-ended. I mean, I could start up No Gods But My Own again a month after I say I'm done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically going to be whenever I come up with an essay or something. It's just like the last few that I did talking about legacy and like trying to get everything down. The last couple that I wrote, the very last article I wrote is 8,500 words long.
Yeah.
Because I tried my best to go back in time and analyze how I got into magic and occultism and what brought me there. And it was 11 rules of what I call factory gnosis.
Yeah.
Where it's like 11 things that I learned working in factories that made me more magical made me think about magic more than most magical texts actually do.
What's amazing is, and this probably is absolutely bled into your mundane magic, but there is this time I think you touch on a lot about working in that factory was almost a gnosis for you, because a lot of your art, a lot of your, speaking of magical prisms and structures, it's mechanical in a way.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And like the only I know people talk about having visions and stuff a lot, and I've never really had any except for one very, very vivid one when I used to work in the factory, where I was just kind of imagining this massive, like almost Lovecraftian machine that's behind everything that doesn't give two shits about us.
Right. Yeah. It's like nature. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just this gigantic machine. I mean, I don't like the idea of like basically mechanizing everything, because that kind of takes away the heartbeat of it. But
yeah,
I mean, that's definitely a prism of industrialism right there, is looking at nature as if it's a machine instead of machine as if it's like nature.
Well, and couldn't we say too that you're giving it a heart with, works like mundane magic, with like this kind of inanimate animism, right?
Yeah. And like that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Like in a weird way, I'm planning as if I'm not going to be around in a year.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't think I'm going anywhere.
No. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you okay?
Whoa.
What
Something went
happened?
weird there for a second.
Oh.
I don't know. You froze.
But yeah,
yeah, I'm not
I
going
see
anywhere.
what you're meaning.
But
It's yeah, it's this kind of, it's back to that comment about legacy. And
Mhm.
I feel that maybe it's just age, but
yeah.
I feel that too with every work. It's just kind of like, okay, this is it. I'm retiring after this, or something's happening to me.
Yeah. Well, I turned 40 back in July,
Yeah.
and I did not handle it as well as I had hoped.
Yeah.
Like, I looked at it and like all the way leading up to it, I was like, oh, it's just a number. It's just a number, just a number. And then the moment it hit, it was like, just like in 2001, where he's in that light tunnel where it's just like,
Yep.
"Mwah."
Transcendence. Yeah.
Yep. It's like, holy shit, I'm 40 now.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was those kind of machinations with it? Was it just like things lost, things never found, you know?
Yeah.
Or
Well, like,
yeah.
I feel like I've kind of squandered a lot of time.
Yeah. I
Like,
feel that too. Yeah.
like I don't I like the idea of being kind of like disattached, like unattached from like the usual, like the standard measure of success. Like, I have a crappy job.
Yeah.
Like, we rent instead of own. It's like all these things that used to be like really solid measurements of what it was like to be an adult. And like by the time you're 40, you should have a great job. You should have a great house. You should have 2 cars. You should have 3 kids. All of this shit. And it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
But that
Well,
draw
you
is
know what
still
they say.
there. Like,
Yeah.
that
40's
pressure
the
is
new
still
30.
there.
I get you. I feel that way too. And it's definitely a lot of careerism
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Like, on the weekends, I work at a car dealership with 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
And it is weird because they treat me like second dad.
Right. Yeah.
And they are all young enough to be my sons.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Well, I have a weird, it's, you know, an kind of an ulterior want too, which is family starting, and I feel that
Yeah.
kind of that timeline ticking down, and that's a
Oh, yeah.
weird, you know, scare or want, you know.
Yeah. Well,
So
and I started that super late.
yeah.
Like, super duper late. My son just turned 4 in May, and I
Mhm.
turned 40. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I was 36 when my son was born.
Is that super late though? I mean, yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
It used to be
My
considered super late.
yeah,
I don't
my
know if
parents
it's
were
super late
19.
anymore.
You know, my
Yeah.
parents were 19, so, and I
My
often muse too. My dad's life, well, like my life is like what my dad's life if he didn't have me at 19.
yeah.
You know, so
Oh
like
yeah,
very
yeah, definitely.
creative, sporadic, but like at the same time, like there's something that family gives you with like frequency and you know
Yeah.
focus.
Oh,
And
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, and like my parents were 30 when they had me. Like, they
yeah,
lived a very full life before I was born. And they lived it for another decade after I was born. Before they kind of settled into the whole parenting thing.
yeah.
But I look at my brother, and he had his first kid when he was 19.
Mhm.
And he got to watch me be, you know,
Wishy-washy.
be a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, I got to be, when I was 27, I got to be a 27-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have 2 or 3 kids that were depending on me. I had me depending on me.
That's very true. I never really looked at it that way. That like, yeah, I was kind of my perfect self at every age because I had no dependence. And that's a
Yeah.
scary thought.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe I survived, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's definitely, it's a different kind of, like, anchor's a bad word for it,
Mhm.
but it's a different kind of like tether to reality when you have a little person depending on
Yeah.
you to keep your head
A
on
little
straight.
machine.
So yeah,
A
like
little
they
machine with a heart. Yeah.
yeah, they need to be fed. They need to go to bed.
Yeah.
They need to poop. You know?
So how it relates though to, this kind of mechanical animism that you see
Mhm.
the world. I was wondering this the other day, that when you look at creators who are, so perfectly themselves in a weird way, like I would say you are a perfect machine for Eric J. Millar.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
just, that's you totally. You look at
Oh yeah.
somebody like Nick Cave, like of course his name is Nick Cave, and of
Yeah.
course he looks like this, and of course, you know what I mean, like he's kind of
Yeah.
this perfect machine of what he creates. Tom Waits, you
Mhm.
look at these people, and I think my thing and my harrowing idea for myself was like, I don't know if I ever figured out my machine. I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't ever,
Yeah.
I don't know yet. And yeah, it's just an interesting thing, because I think that's there's this ability to kind of attune to it, to commune with it, and then become it. And me, especially after all of our talks, and how
Yeah.
things go haywire in the world of interpersonal stuff or personal stuff, like
Yeah.
it's hard to latch on to that machine and to commune with it, right? It's
Oh
too
yeah.
divergent at times, in
Oh
a way.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's actually kind of part of why I'm separating for a little while, is
Yeah.
the behind the scenes is a little bit more hectic right now than it used to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Was it terrible fours?
Yeah,
No.
basically,
Yeah.
basically, like discovering a thing that kids have that you never knew existed before, called stool withholding.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had that, I think.
Yeah, who
Yeah.
knew that a kid, if they don't want to shit, they'll wait 10 days.
Yeah. I was embarrassed uh
Yeah,
when I was a kid. That was a lot of it, because like I don't want you
yeah,
in the bathroom. Like I'm fine, I'm fine.
yeah,
I
and
do
it's
remember that. But I would also wet the bed all the time too, because I would
yeah,
just withhold.
yeah, yeah. That's part of it. That's all
Yeah.
part of it, and it's incredibly difficult. And like, there's like physical parts of it, psychological parts of it. There's all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff, and it's like, and at the same time, I'm doing preschool for my son. Like I'm
So
my
you're
son's
teaching.
preschool,
Yeah.
because my mom did early childhood education for 25 years, and she's helping me design a lesson plan, and I'm teaching my son his ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and how to read.
That's very cool though.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
and
super stressful, I imagine.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel for teachers. Teachers are the
Yeah.
hardest working people in public service.
Yep. And right when I just got a new teaching job, and
Ah,
yeah, teaching art after school.
oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah. Amongst the outdoor education stuff. But yeah, you're not wrong. It is I think Louis C.K. had a joke about it. It's like
Yeah.
the it was something like, hey, do you want to do you want to make kids like math? Sure. Are they into it? No. you know Okay, who am I teaching? Anyone who's close to the building?
Yeah,
Any kid who's close to
exactly,
the
exactly,
you know. It was
exactly.
something like that. I butchered it, but yeah, it's just so funny. Like all these teachers are all just like creative degenerates.
Yeah, basically.
you know, that's who's teaching your youth. They're a bunch of creative degenerates.
No.
Um, but that's cool. I like the homeschooling aspect a lot,
Yeah.
especially since you were already kind of, with him, you
Hmm.
know, during the week and stuff. So I
Oh
imagine it
yeah.
was an easier transition than most.
You would think that, but not quite.
No?
uh, Kids are really good at saying no to parents and not very good at saying no to teachers.
Oh yeah.
So if you try to teach your kid, well, you're also the parent that they always say no to. It's really, really hard to get them to do it.
Yeah. Just like, no thanks, I'm good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like I'm teacher dad right now, not just dad. I'm teacher
Yeah.
dad right now.
Just put on a mustache.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
do something like that.
So yeah, just a visual cue.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, man, I really appreciated you coming and chatting.
Oh
How
yeah.
you doing on time? I'm sure you got to get back
I
soon.
got I got easily another 10-15 minutes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'd love to talk more about so one thing I never got to do with everyone separately about the audio sigil was talk
Oh
about
yeah.
their contributions.
Oh yeah.
So I'd love to talk to you about all the cool
Sure.
shit that you did on the audio sigil. Yeah, please. What was give us the background of the like Mandelbrot kind of.
Oh man. Those are basically repurposed artifacts of when I fancied myself a musician like 15 years
Mhm.
ago. And I just messed with them, and like I had a program that I had found 15 years ago called Musanum that
Mm.
used the Mandelbrot set to create music. And I would just fiddle with the numbers as this like generative music creator went, and then over the years I've tweaked it and played with it over and over and over again until it turned into what's on there.
That's yeah, so that's what we were talking about earlier about kind of recycling
Yep.
old stuff. And you tweaked it recently, right? To
Yeah,
with
pretty
your okay.
recently. I think it
Yeah.
was like right before you started the audio sigil. I had retweaked it and made it all like I had it on Bandcamp and all of that.
Right. Yeah.
I've since taken it off again because it was just too depressing to look at the stats on it.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's like I know I should be like consoling you about that stuff, but I got nothing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
stats are a bitch. Like
I
I
looked
don't
at the
know.
stats and
Yeah.
I was like, it's not even worth it. Like I think I had 0 plays for 6 months, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm good. I think people are good on this. I think it can
Yeah.
go away.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm really trying to dig deep and find something because I would be talking to myself too and
Yeah.
consoling that aspect. Like, yeah.
Well, it's easy to disappear. Like
It is.
it's truly easy for creative stuff to disappear.
Yeah. It is. One of the big sadnesses too was I used to use MySpace back in the day for a lot of
Hmm.
demos and music stuff. It was,
Yeah.
great. I could post stuff and change stuff. And whenever that, I believe it was a Justin Timberlake acquisition or something, they screwed up
Hmm.
all the servers. So I just lost
Hmm.
like ton, but it was my bad for, I'm too much of a
Yeah.
Dharma bum. I don't ever keep anything. So
Yeah. No backups.
yeah. And it's this cloud idea is nice.
Yeah.
If it's there and I can connect to it, but like if I
Yeah.
don't have backups, say la vie, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I don't trust the cloud. I got like 3 hard
Yeah.
drives that have everything on them as well as the cloud.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to start doing that. But one comment I will say is I can't wait till I stop thinking that I'm a musician. Yeah. That's got to be talk about relieving of just like,
Yeah.
dude, just I mean, I think I feel that way anyways. I was talking to Luxa Strata and she kept calling me one and I was like, this feels weird. I don't think of myself as a musician, you know. Uh
It's I have the same problem with artists. It's like
yeah.
eh, it's an
Yeah.
ill-fitting title. It's a really, really, truly ill-fitting
I
title.
like I like writer because it's true, but it's
Yeah.
also it's very blue collar sounding. It's like very trade sounding. And that's
Yeah.
kind of the type of writer I was, as a journalist and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like I get that,
Yeah.
but musician, no, I'm not a good musician.
Yeah.
I'm, maybe write songs and, release a lot of music, but I'm not jamming with Steve Vai on any, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a hired gun by any chance,
Yeah.
by any means. Um, but yeah, the Mandelbrot. What I loved about that too is there was something kismet about it because I did a video for a demo during lockdown when we were like right before I announced, us announced that we wanted to do the audio sigil, and I used a Mandelbrot imaging software
Hmm.
for the video and it took like
Yeah.
hours to render 2 seconds of scene.
Yeah.
And I just always thought, yeah, it was cool that we were both on that Mandelbrot kick
Yeah.
for a little bit for the idea. But you know, when I gave the when I drafted up the call to arms or whatever for the audio sigil, what came pouring in was just like incredible, and I didn't say no to any piece. Every piece that was suggested,
Yeah.
you know, made it in there. But yours mostly was kind of the ghost of the entire piece, you know.
Yeah.
And I use a lot of your tracks as backdrops, as like kind of a sinew within the sinew of,
Yeah.
you know,
It's a
of the
good bed
entire piece.
music. It's a good
It's
bed
what?
music. It's a good bed music.
Good bad
What
music?
bed, like
Oh,
it's a
bad
good
music.
it's a
Yeah.
good bed. You can put a lot of
Yes.
stuff in it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely got a substrate quality to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was super fun to mess with. And
Yeah.
that informed your Mandelbrot stuff, informed a lot of my audiomantic stuff within the audio sigil too. I
Yeah.
would put it on, I would meditate with a guitar and, you know, an amp and kind of the dark, you know, we were living in a tiny apartment at the time, so I didn't have the audiomancy chamber as I
Yeah.
once did or do now. But you know, I would just kind of get into a sort of, you know, trance as I do with these rituals and
Hmm.
strum, you know, discordant kind of chords and you know, just absolutely made up fingering frets. That's
Hmm.
don't quote me on that, fingering frets. Um but you know, and would kind of just envelop myself in these soundscapes, and that's how a lot of the you know, the sub album within it was created, was, you know, kind of meditating on your Mandelbrot pieces. So that was a really fun collaboration
Yeah.
in a metaphysical kind of sense.
Oh yeah. And I was
Yeah.
always super impressed how you integrated that stuff in there. Like
Yeah.
it fit so well together. And
Yeah,
then
it was crazy. Yeah.
yeah, and then all that stuff fed into the visuals I made. Like the visuals wouldn't have existed without what you had created and
Hmm.
what everybody else had created.
Yeah, it was a creative collaboration, Ouroboros, for sure.
Oh yeah.
I love my big thing, and I keep telling this to people, you know, to you can get the album track by track right on Bandcamp, but I always tell
Yeah.
people like take off the pausing in between songs if you can.
Yeah.
But most importantly, do do the Bandcamp thing so you get a high quality PDF of your design stuff with it, because I think that was, to me, that was one you know, we can still do this and figure out ways to kind of promote it, because I think it kind of got lost in the shuffle of all the music stuff. But your design work for the sigil is amazing, you know.
Yeah, and I did it fast. like
Yeah,
like I think in grand total I think I spent maybe 2 hours on it.
yeah,
Just
that's
kind of
funny.
like pulling different elements out of different places and just like sticking them together.
Yeah, because we talked about it in a way, and like how I saw it, you know,
Mhm.
was very much a, you know, nature kind of substrate, kind of fallen substrate.
Mhm.
um and you had thought about, well, what if, because you were doing these drawings of, you would take like you would take text or books that were already kind of existing and doing
Mhm.
like the Crispin Glover kind of rat catching kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but drawing on top of it. And I was just like, those are beautiful. Maybe we can
Mhm.
figure out how to, you know, integrate that. And how you did it was, yeah, perfect. I mean, it's just, that's to me, that's what the record sounds like, is your art, you know.
Yeah. And I think what would surprise people the most is how analog those things really were.
Yeah, all hand drawn and
Yeah, like
created,
the
right?
black and white artwork is hand drawn mixed with like actual physical clip art that I have from like a 70-year-old clip art book.
So
Where I
it's cut ups. Yeah.
It's cut ups. It's literal
Yeah.
cut ups. Like if you saw the originals, they don't have the photos in the background, but they have the actual like drawn elements in the front.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Do you have like a way to kind of print those? I would love to figure out a way to. I know for me, just to have a couple of prints to hang up.
Well, I mean, I know they have the like Redbubble and stuff like that, and they do
Okay.
prints on there.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be so cool to have. The
Yeah.
cover, it was really hard deciding the cover because every piece was just so enigmatic of the entire
Yeah.
piece, but yeah, the butterfly
Yeah,
in
that
that.
cover, like that felt like the cover. That one totally felt like
Yeah,
the cover. The moment I finished it, I was like, that's the cover. That has to
and
be.
for some promotional stuff we had text on it, but I was like, no, like if people are downloading this or getting it, it just needs to be that image. No
Yeah.
text. Like it
Yeah.
says everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's these, and I love the three fingers, or
Mhm.
like these, and that's such an Eric Millar like print. These kind
Yeah.
of humanoid,
Yeah. And the finger
creatures,
thing, I don't even know what I'm doing with the finger thing. Like I think
not
like I have
finger
a
and threats, are you?
like I think I a lot of my drawings have people holding up random fingers and in random hand gestures, and I think I got it from Doctor Strange,
Oh
like
yeah,
old Doctor Strange comics where it looks like he's having like the like
yeah,
hand
it's kind of like
signals.
the Ditko
And
Strange stuff. Yeah,
yeah, where it's just like different fingers in different places, and like
yeah,
it never means anything.
I know. I thought they translated that pretty well though in the recent
Oh yeah,
movie. It's a funny.
yeah.
What do you call them? What's the Indian hand gesture
There's a
or Hindu
mudra.
mudras? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but
yeah, they
yeah.
did pretty good with that.
Um, but yeah, I was to bring it around, like that was my postpartum depression when
Mm.
when that ended. I kind of had
Yeah.
this staring at the sea kind of moment
Hmm.
about oh, okay, what's next, you
Yeah.
know and my issue, and it's still not over with, we can still promote it, but it's so hard when you finish something that's so enigmatic and so part of your process and so part of your mental health process too, that
Yeah.
when it's out there, it's hard to sell it then. And I
Yeah.
think that's what it wasn't about selling too. That's a
Yeah.
crude word but just promotion
Yeah.
or getting the word out.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel a need and a service to all of you that collaborated with me on this to, keep sharing it and keep doing stuff with it. So I'm thinking that I'll kind of go through and do. I'm at the stage right now where I'm just marketing strategies whizzing by me like trigonometry, in my brain, and I can't understand any of it, but one of
Yeah.
the ideas is to kind of pump that up a bit and maybe share individual tracks with with your art on Instagram, just small things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Do
Or
like spotlights.
I downloaded some old early 1900s films that I'm going to cut up to it, and so it has a YouTube presence,
That's
with
cool.
some fun things with
Yeah.
titles. But yeah, that's like coming out again. Like there should be. It's funny. There's this need for people when they finish something that, oh shit, you got to get it out. Like you have to keep
Yeah.
pushing it. And I'm like, no, give
Yeah.
me a couple months, and then I
Yeah.
can start the process.
Yeah. And I definitely feel that. Like I hate promotion.
Yeah.
Like it's the worst. It's like pulling teeth to me.
Yep.
Like most of my lack of sales is due to the fact that I hate promoting so much.
It's so true. I hate it.
Hate it.
Absolutely
Well,
loathe it. But
it's one of those things. People expect artists to wear so many hats now. Like in the
mhm.
in the realm of social media, an artist or a creator has to wear so many hats. Where it's how do you find time to actually create when you're spending all this time creating an image? You're creating an
Yeah.
image and selling an image. When do you create the actual work? Like,
Yeah, when does that start? Yeah, when does it end?
yeah, when
Yeah.
does it start? If you have to have a job, if you have to like watch your kid, if you have to do all this other stuff, it takes away like the equity of it. Like
Yeah.
it makes it so people with money, people that have the time, that just are like can float along. They have more time to promote. They have more time to do all this other stuff. And it's like, yeah, they can still create. Other people, I have just enough energy to create.
Yep. Yeah, amongst the other things, Mary was funny because she listens to other podcasts and she hears my gripes, and she's always like, you should just get somebody to do all the back end stuff. I was like, yeah, that would cost money, and also I'm kind of a control freak.
Yeah, it's why I self-publish. It's why I
Yeah, she's like,
self-publish.
with the record, I'm helping her with her record, and we, she's always talking like, wow, so what's an engineer versus a producer? And I'm like, well, in our case, it's both. Like, there's no separation, because we're just gonna have to be wearing all the hats here to do this.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's so funny because she'll joke like, wow, you can just get somebody else to do all the annoying stuff for you. Like, and I was like, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
That's the thing. People outsource, all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Well, like when the Impossible game got picked up by a microcosm, it was the weirdest thing. Like,
I wanted
like,
to talk. Yeah.
Just send us the text and send us the pictures. We'll do the rest. And like, you guys don't want me to lay it out or design it up for you, like do any of the other stuff? It's like, nah. I honestly haven't seen it. Like, I don't even know what it looks like. It came out like 7 months ago. I don't know what it looks like.
I need to pick up a copy.
Yeah. I don't even have a copy. I don't even know what it looks like.
It's just a pamphlet, right? Or like,
yeah. They made it into like a 36-page pamphlet.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. I wonder what that.
Yeah, I'm super curious.
I've followed Microcosm forever, and I have a friend who claims that because I told them about you, that's how they found out. And I was like, I don't think that's how it worked. But this person is like to take a lot of credit for a lot of things.
Yeah, no, I emailed them.
Yeah,
I emailed them and said,
exactly.
do you want any work of mine? And they said, show it to us.
Yeah.
And they shot down the disruption generator,
which is super interesting to me. I guess they wanted to start small, right?
Yeah, probably.
See how it went.
Maybe see how the Impossible game sells.
I still have yet to watch them, but Microcosm's been doing a lot of YouTube stuff. They get like no views, but it's always
that's weird.
Yeah, it's super weird, but it's always about about independent publishing and how to find a publisher. Like, very informational, cool YouTube videos. I find like they're in that weird chasm of super small but widely known.
Yeah, it's weird. They seem epic to me, but they're pretty like down on the ground, nitty gritty.
Yeah. Are you gonna? So you just did they put it out and then you all kind of communications kind of stopped, or?
Yeah, I haven't had contact with them in 6 months.
Uh-huh.
So I'm supposed to get a statement and see how well it's done this month at some point.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I probably should have ordered a couple copies for myself.
I'm gonna definitely do that. Yeah, I just want to see how they handled it.
With COVID, I got no shows. I got no shows to go to, and I got like I used to do a thing called Comics Thing every 4 months, and the building that it used to be in is gone.
Wait, they tore down the Eagles Lodge?
It's gone.
What?
It is gone.
Oh, that's so sad.
Last time I went to Southeast Portland, it was just an empty lot.
Oh, that's so sad. I love the Eagles Lodge.
So did I. So did I. Yeah. And those shows were great. Like, if they would have made it like even like 6 more months, they probably could have started having shows again.
Damn, I know. Like, we're seeing all the reverberations from just the kind of destruction this past year is created. It's so sad. All the old haunts in Portland, especially. I was back there a couple months ago, just gone.
Yeah, it's just a mess.
Yeah,
like I haven't been downtown in 2 years. Myself.
There's no reason.
Yeah, no. Like I only had a few reasons to start with,
Right.
and those reasons no longer exist.
Yeah. Well, pouring out for the
Yeah,
businesses in Portland for sure.
yeah,
Seattle, I didn't really have a relationship with beforehand, so I don't really know.
yeah,
But it seems to be trucking along fine,
yeah,
considering,
yeah.
you know,
I haven't heard anything bad about Seattle. I mean, you
other
hear
than
bad
yeah,
stuff about. You used to hear bad stuff
everywhere.
about Portland every day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
There's
I'd
also
say maybe 30% of it was true, but
yeah. Portland's just such a hot pot
oh yeah,
of things, and it's a lot smaller too, and it's still kind of in this process of finding its identity in a weird
yeah,
way. And so it's just it's just a very condensed and enigmatic kind of situation where I feel
yeah,
Seattle's been a big city for so long and one of the major metropolitan
yeah,
areas of the country that it just kind of does its own thing, and
yeah.
it
Well,
is what it is.
I've heard stories of Portland 30 years ago,
Oh yeah.
and it seems to me that we're just going back to what Portland was before. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to go all Stephen King on it, the city's just becoming what the city wanted to be.
Right.
Like, it's
There's
just
a
like, it's like I was just gonna shake those extra people off and do what it's
Yep.
gonna do. It's its own being.
There's a great book that I read over a decade ago. The first time I lived in Portland, it's called Portland Confidential,
Mhm.
and its history is crooked as shit. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, but
Oh yeah.
it's good to see it, you know, push so hard against it in a way. But there's still some underlying,
Oh, there's some.
tethers of darkness.
Yeah, there's some gross shit there, and it's not the
Yeah.
gross shit that they talk about in the media.
Nope.
They
Yeah.
avoid that part.
I'm ready for a sojourn into the wilderness a
Oh, me
bit,
too. Me
Yeah.
too.
Me and Mary
The
watch a lot of these build your own kind of yurt,
mhm,
refurbish a bus kind of
mhm,
thing, and you know, I'm very much just less is
yeah.
more. Less is
Well, like
more.
I grew up in Minnesota, in like rural Minnesota, where the closest town was 18 miles away,
Yeah.
and like my parents have like 10 acres of trees, just lots and lots of trees and shitty swampland, and it's like it's quiet. It's so
Yeah.
quiet.
It's quiet. Yeah.
It's so quiet, and at night it is pitch black. There's zero
Ah,
light pollution. Like when the stars are out, it's just a blanket of stars.
yeah.
And
See galaxies.
yeah, year after year, I kind of miss that more and more.
Yeah, I remember you kind of discussing maybe that was a possibility
It still is.
going back. Yeah.
It still is. It definitely still is. I
It
mean,
seems like it would just be, you'd have family and
oh yeah,
just be more equitable, like,
it
and
would.
all. Yeah.
It's the job market and the rental market are the two
Yeah.
main reasons not to, because oh, nobody pays shit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, man, no gods but my own. I want everyone to check out the link in the description if you're watching now. I will, of course, edit this a little bit, give more of a tight intro and whatnot for wide release. That sounded very sexual. But Eric, always a pleasure, man. Very dear friend of mine, and you've been
Yeah.
just such a wonderful collaborator. And thanks so much, man.
Nah, well, you're one of my favorite people. So
Ditto,
Yeah.
kiddo.
yeah, always happy. Always happy
Always.
to talk.
Cool, man. Yeah, and we got to do this like reoccurring. I know we
Oh
keep
yeah.
toying with it. I'm still, just still finding my legs, my
Oh yeah.
Seattle legs, sea
Yeah, you'll
legs.
get there. You get
Yeah.
there. You're nimble like a cat.
Yeah, I'm on life 9 though. Tell you what. But yeah, thanks again, and thanks everybody who's watching the Patreon stream, and haunt on, everybody.